either secure the utility, they could go for the Freddy, they could go for the Valentina themselves, or even for the Faramis.
See value in me?
Well, they go with the Fredrin and the Farsa. The pick,
Sustain and burst.
the pick that has been working wonders for the Philippines right now. And previous game, what? He had 3 kills early on, I think something along those lines. The first blood, then it built up to 3 kills. And when that happens and you get those scaling, that first scaling item very quickly compared to a traditional build path or timing, that changes the course of the early game. So they might be looking to emulate that process here for this next match. And with that, here's the answer. Indonesia actually takes up this Baksha. This time, I'm assuming it's going in the jungle, right? For the most part. Because again, Novaria was priority picked. We have seen her flexed in the roam. We have seen her parked in the mid lane. But there's the X-Borg as well.
Okay.
So similar.
That's danger. For this Farsa, on the positioning of the Farsa and in the hands of Arcangel, he needs to be wary on where this X-Borg will be. Where will the last Insanity will be? Well, this is a growing threat. Early game, hits level 4. Both of them can actually disable one another. It's moving out the burst.
It's a growing threat, but I'm going to be a little, Cerezo here, he's got to be careful on how he approaches this early game. We saw it before, right? He made up for it in that one game he played X-Borg. He died 3 times early on. He still had an impact. Previous game, he was playing the Uranus, tried to do the same thing. It didn't work out. He was really shut down. So Cerezo alone has to be able to adjust for this game. It's great that he has the X-Borg, right? But can he actually be impactful early on and not just have those multiple deaths going on? Because Last Insanity is great, but at the same time, you have to be able to serve that purpose in the XP lane. With the Valier being picked up here for the Philippines, this is also what we saw earlier on in the series. It worked out great for them. It's kind of annoying to deal with, right? You're going to get stunned. The burst fireballs are not fun to deal with.
Okay, going back on your thought on that X-Borg, he had a 3-death shutdown in the first 2 minutes.
Yep.
And by that, Indonesia found a way to have a comeback. That was this game in the match earlier that actually made everything work. With the aid of their marksman, the Brody, or even a different way to utilize it with their own mage pick here, could actually be beneficial no matter what comes next. You said you don't want those numbers, the death numbers, to just keeps on rising for this roamers and for these XP laners. It's a big of a factor in taking yourself into an addition or an advantage on getting the first turtle objective.
Honestly, what I see happening here, let's see what this last ban is, but for the most part, because the Brody was taken out, I love that. That's great respect from Indonesia because, like we were saying, multiple MVPs. And off the top of my head, I was like, well, what gold lane is Indonesia going to take? And, off the top of my head, it would be the Beatrix, but since that's banned out, you're kind of left to a couple of these options. We've seen Melissa pop up, but most likely I'm going to assume, let's see if they take the, never mind, the Claude also gets banned out. So now, we've narrowed down the gold lane, right? And usually when we get to this, we see Irithil pop up. Melissa's there. We've seen great things from Clint, finally on teams, yesterday, having success with that. So, does Philippines want to take that? Do they want to go for one of these picks that is slower? And this is it. Like, the Irithil is great, but it's slow. It's slow to build up. Don't get me wrong. She's fast.
Fine.
Like she's fast
slow
sprinting
to build
around.
up, but
she's
movement
slow to build
speed-wise,
up.
it's fast.
She needs literally 4 items to be successful for the most part.
Okay, I know what we're going through. The damage needs to work out to proc with the passive for the ultimate of the Irithil. So with this, he has more, or this Irithil rather is being picked up right here by Philippines, is to have safe passage around the Turkish Poissons, even around the last Insanity, because at some point in game number 1, there were a lot of disengages. And I get where you're going there. He needs more damage, but with this time around, that Valier's on his side to aid with his lane, maybe that's a good way to amping up more of getting those items right away.
There's a shiny new sheriff in town.
And we're going back to it at high noon here, but not really, right? In Romania. But Clint comes through. They're bringing out the cowboy for this game, and they need it, right? Valentina as well locked in, so that does mean we've got that combination. We've seen this many times. Novaria, Valentina. It can work really great, especially when your job is to just take that feathered airstrike for the most part. And now your poke potential is paired up with great burst potential just in those 2 heroes alone. if you can get it, right? A lot of the times what we've seen when Valentina is picked up is the opposing team will be very defensive on how they approach these team fights, not allowing or at least forcing the Valentina to get close enough, right? So this is another interesting pick that we haven't seen too much of up to this point.
Even for Cannon.
A couple times. We've even seen him part in the roam, but obviously we'd like to see him in the XP lane. This R-Lot right here will provide a very good setup for Philippines if they can pull off that final slash ultimate ability.
Actually, the Vengeance as well is still working. Although the nerf on his ultimate is actually a bit of a disadvantage for his own setup. But one thing also that we're seeing is how he can be really, really slidey in those kinds of initiations. In a way, this is still strong. Arlott and Valir for Philippines.
So as we get a last look of these lineups for both these teams, again, this is match point here for the Philippines. They had a very strong game. The last one really able to control a lot of the pacing, but that was on the whims of Indonesia picking a lineup that was so hyper-focused, so meant on momentum and snowballing, that it was difficult to pull off. So here we go, jumping into the Land of Dawn, match point in the grand final for the Philippines, wanting to take this title from Indonesia from last year in Bali. Can they pull it off?
This is tough. A championship, a defending title on the line. How will Indonesia? Will they see a chance to recover? A lot of ways that we can actually see the opportunity in their lineup. The execution will actually matter. Unigo trying to poke on Moreno with the aid of Arcangel, trying to peel them off slowly. Using that retribution, Super Ken secures his purple.
Thanks for the heals, by the way. So he grabs that, but this is what you expect, right? The Valir did the same thing in the previous games. When it was locked in, you're just trying to poke down, to put pressure, especially around the buffs. You see them utilizing that, the kit, the burst fireballs, right? And it also, the thing about it too is the fact that when you have this buff, which you shouldn't technically have, it allows you to do a little bit more than you should. The pressure there is going to help them scale with this early game, right? 30 seconds away from this turtle. It's great if no one goes down for the first blood before it so they can actually battle it out, but looking at these, who has the level 4? They need the level 4 advantage. Moreno could be in trouble.
Saison is on level 4. Moreno could actually be taken down here. Stun and a taunt. Arcangel takes first blood.
As I was saying, man, right before the turtle, it would be great if none of the teams had the first blood, because then you can really contest this one and start the pace, start the momentum for your team. But with Moreno going down, he's going to need a little bit longer. Doesn't have the level 4 yet, right? Doesn't have the ultimate. Poking in the XP lane, fighting for the turtle. Might just be better. Give this up to the Philippines. Let them take it. Let's see if we can find something elsewhere.
Astral Echo was trying to make a poke out of the last hit onto the turtle up top.
Saken
falls down. Off-cam kill, Ricatiano and Arcangel with the aid in the gold lane. Rotating quickly, Arcangel on this first item pickup. Elegant Gem and the boots. He's getting busier by the minute.
It's deja vu. Arcangel, 2 kills in, nearing that 3-minute mark. He just needs one more, and he's literally the same situation he was in the previous game. And what does that do for him? It helps him scale really well. He's almost done with his Clock of Destiny, which is a scaling item on someone like Farsa. It gets really scary dealing with that burst damage with the Feathered Airstrike. So Indonesia, they gotta slow it down a little bit, right? This early on, you're already down 1.5k gold. You have to be able to buy time, especially the fact that, Saken on this Clint pick, he's going to be a little susceptible to ganks, right? You really have to be able to watch out for him. So with that, that was it. That was being picked up. The Clock of Destiny locked in here.
Good taunt there. Super Ken being in trouble. Used to force our turtles Poissons. And we have the Feather Airstrike poking and bursting him down. He's peeled. Now he's forced to take on his own jungle camp objectives. Meanwhile, down bottom, Cannon and Cerezo using that vengeance to slip out of the area. Ricatiano taking down Saken. Now action is up top. 4 members of the Philippines here. Vin coming in from the phase. And now Vin flickers out for safety. Philippines trying to gain additional coverage in the first 4 minutes of the game.
This is complete control in the early game right now. The Philippines, they are unrelenting. They don't want to let up at all. And this is exactly what you have to do when you have this lineup, right? You want to scale in really quickly. You want to be aggressive when you have the Valier. You're looking for these stuns. Indonesia, they're looking to make a play on the top side. They get the flicker out. Look at the Searing Torrent. Pushes them back. That's the power of a Valier right there.
Debuff, push back, and also knock up from this hero alone.
Valier. He pays dividends in dealing with a lot of that initiation, right? That's why you pick him up.
A growing threat, a problem. They would need to answer with the magic defense item early on. This first 5 minutes, Philippines secures another objective in this first 5 minutes of the game.
So with that, 2 turtles in. They further the gold lead that they have. Economy going way in the favor of the Philippines at this point. First item's already pretty much being picked up. On to the second. Indonesia needs time to build back up here. They have to be able to choose their own fights, but at what cost and at what pace do they go for? Here, it looks like they want to go for Cannon.
Cannon receiving the Astral Echo, that's the poke, using that final way to evade that momentum. Arcangel flickers out for safety, using one of his own passives to escape the possible takedown. Socken, though, taking on the turret up top, down bottom.
Okay, still finding anything they can. Indonesia still trying to get on the board here. That's the problem, right? They need a kill. We still have 1 turtle left. And if they can actually contest it, it would be great for their favor. They're starting to get to the point. Big part of it is, do we at least have our first item? Do we have, are we building towards that second? Oh, Final Slash.
Final Slash doing the work for Philippines. Forced out, a last insanity out of Chorizo. Now he's forced into his own defense.
Flicker too.
Back in the turret, Super Ken Moreno tries to clear this up. Saison being taunt, using the taunt onto Super Ken, trying to poke him down. Present for the purple and the orange damage, using the Torch Persons to slow him down. Ken on the other hand, they're ready for reinforcement. They back away. Indonesia respecting the damage in the first minute. But 6 minutes in, Philippines rotating quicker, trying to contest this Squirtle. Up top Cannon, though, clearing more of the minions in.
And here we go, right? Third turtle almost up. They might look to contest it. Mid lane going to be the focus here, though.
Moreno dropping down low. He could be in trouble. Cannon, though, on level 9, closely getting another attribute for damage. Philippines still a slow engage. No skirmishes at Naisu.
This is probably just another turtle in the hands of the Philippines, unless Super Ken comes through here for Indonesia. He's got to do it. He's trying to get the vision, won't be able to get it. Now gets collapsed on. He might, he has to use the ultimate. So another resource down. That's 3 for 3 for the Philippines. If they wanted to end the game in this game 4, they're well on their way for it. The gold lead's starting to build up. You can see a lot of this hesitation from Indonesia, but that's honestly what they have to do. You're so far behind in the early game.
We can't blame them. They need defense.
You have to build it. You have to build it back up. You have to choose your fights.
Speaking of fights, though, Super Ken might drop low. Recreano securing the kill onto Indonesia. Chorizo receiving damage, being pushed back by the Searing Torrent. Chorizo now, no Firaga armor, is now being denied to use that ult for the Pacer Strat, right? Connecting onto the damage. Saison with the pokes. Moreno trying to push out more, but the peel is not enough yet. But with the push and the turret takedown, Philippines slowly advancing. 3 turrets down for Indonesia.
Berserker's Fury being picked up here for Rectiano on that Earthil. As I was saying, it takes time to build up, but when you have this kind of early game to mid-game transition for the Philippines, it happens a lot sooner, right? And at the same time, he's only got 3 of the items that he needs. If he gets that 4th one, it's really going to start to hurt. And this is, once again, when we look back at the MVP performances from the Philippines for Rectiano, the team allows him to be in this environment, to get to this point, and it will really start to shine as we get further into the game. You can see them really focusing now, their eyes set on these tier 2 turrets. Again, Indonesia doesn't have much space to work with, only 1 turret down. They're kind of forced to stay on the defensive here on this side of the base. Another tier 2 falls in the bottom lane.
Still a slow start. Feather Airstrike, Arcangel trying to take down. Successfully, Super Ken falls down. Eyes on the mid lane. Philippines looking to clear up more in the turret defenses. Going back to your thought there, Iesf, is Iesf now completely a force, a complete damage tool by just pushing around the map?
She doesn't really, like, that's the thing though. Like for Indonesia, that's just one problem, that you're dealing with at this point. Now it's the Lord being just taken freely by the Philippines. So you're back to this. Backs against the wall. We have to defend. We want to extend this series. We can't lose it here for Indonesia. Do we have what it takes to actually defend against this? Yeah, well, yeah, it's only the first Lord. We should be able to clear it rather quickly, right? Yep. But right now, Sakin, he needs more time. Clint, and if you guys noticed from the draft, there was a lot of bans here focused on the gold lane, and there's a reason for it. You don't have these heroes that pop, that get picked up quite often to clear these lanes, to be on the defensive and handle these situations as well. Clint just needs a little bit more time. Berserker's Fury being picked up, that's a great step in the right direction. So Rizzo just getting his Ice Queen wand. So now at least some of that slow here can help deviate the Philippines a little bit, but this is where it really matters. Losing the tier 2 turrets, holding on to these last 3 in your base. Lord still making its way here in the bottom lane. This is where Indonesia has to step up. They have to be able to defend.
Is this go time for Indonesia? Ashwag being placed on Super Ken. He's trying to get out the postal damage. Recodiano has on target. He's now pushed back to base to regen. Still no casualty though, still safe. But 3 ultimates used by Indonesia to defend that wave and to defend a possible takedown by Philippines.
Rather successful defense, right? Again, it was only the first Lord. They should be able to clear it up pretty well. They picked up some key items for them as well. This helps them in the fighting department. Is it enough, though, to actually deal with a contestant when the next Lord comes up? Probably not yet, right? They're still working down 9,000 gold deficit. And you can see it here. Super Ken could be in trouble.
Super Ken being chased down by Unigo, being chased down by Recodiano. Look at the damage. He can't do much. He now is on cooldown, 20 seconds for Super Ken to retrieve and recall back. 4 members left to defend. Look at the damage. This is a complete destruction. Look at that cannon vengeing on through. Moreno used the Feather Airstriker arc on to their defense, Arcangel, and that is a pause.
Okay, just like that. This is a relatively low kill game, right? These teams are sizing each other up for the most part. We're almost 12 minutes in here.
Oh, Unigo.
Unigo did die, yes. He went down, but still, that's what I'm saying. Like, even then, you're still working from nearly 10,000 gold deficit. Before we jumped in this game, we were like, we've seen crazier things, right? We've seen turnarounds.
Crazier comebacks.
For the playoffs, yeah. Turn around, 10,000 gold behind, something amazing happens in your base, and then, it flips over. That's what Indonesia is hoping for, which really comes down to, once again, Sakin's got to stay alive. He's got a couple ways to stay alive. He's got Flicker. He's got the Bola. He can move back a little bit. But it's even up to the team. Like, how much peel do you actually have to keep your gold lane alive?
Speaking of peel,
Malefic Roar. That's great.
3-level XP gap against Recodiano. 3-level gap against Sakin. Damaged by just his own basic hits. Movement speed-wise, he's quicker, he's agile, he's mobile, quickly escape possible takedowns, but now they need more damage. That was a good point that you were trying to mention about the items. Right now, it's not really ready for Indonesia to have this way of managing a team fight.
Yeah.
So they're respecting the damage of Philippines right now, and they're looking for possible ways to have a pickoff.
Okay, we're going to take a quick look at the items here while we wait for this Lord to spawn. As we were saying, Sakin needed time to build up. He's gotten the time. Indonesia has done that, right? He's got the 3 items that he needed. He picked up the moleculator,
but now we return to the game.
Here we go. Once again, Lord has not marched in just yet. Philippines is managing these waves the best they can. Lord now will be making its way down the mid. They're going to go ahead and wait for that. Indonesia has to hold on to these turrets if they can. Is it going to happen? They'll have their work cut out for them. They have to be able to displace or at least react to what the Philippines is about to do to possibly end the series here.
Saison starting to fight Super Ken, dropping down low. Cannon takes down one. Sorizo trying to hold in upon. Saison Recodiano, the damage is now in. The base is too open. Now Philippines is now taking the base of Indonesia. Remember their names. Recodiano, Saison, Cannon, Arcangel. and Odigo are your 15th IESF MLBB World Champions!
Such a dominant game there. The last one, game number 4 here, to take the title from Indonesia.